I had just buttoned up my blouse when I heard his car pull away. My husband, Kent, was gone. A 3-day trip to Denver for some legal conference. I watched the taillights vanish into the distance. And I thought that would be the hardest goodbye I said that night. But it was not. 2 hours later, I opened the door I had sworn to keep shut. Lester stood there, just like I knew he would. His eyes devoured me before his hands ever did. And when I stepped aside to let him in, something inside me collapsed, something I had protected for 25 years. My wedding vows meant everything, until they meant nothing. I can still hear the echo of that knock, and what followed will never leave me. Before I go deeper into the story, I want to say thank you, truly, to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Your support is the reason I can keep sharing these raw, emotional journeys. And to all the new and returning viewers who are yet to subscribe, I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button. It is the fuel that keeps this channel alive, and it means more than you know. Please remember to drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me how this story makes you feel.
Do you understand me?
Or hate me by the end.
All right.
Let me take you back to the beginning, to when everything started to go wrong, even before I opened that door. My name is Alice. I am 51 years old. I live in Colorado Springs with my husband, Kent. He is a good man, disciplined, driven, emotionally distant. But good. We have been married for 25 years. No children. Just the two of us, filling a quiet house with routines and schedules and silence. Then there is Lester, Kent's best friend since college. Lester is 50. Charismatic. Charming in that dangerous way women pretend to ignore. He is a photographer, not the type who takes portraits, but the kind who captures what is hidden. I always felt his eyes on me, even when Kent was standing right beside us. At barbecues, Lester would lean too close when he spoke. At parties, his gaze lingered long after others turned away. And yet, he never said anything out of line, never touched me, never crossed that invisible boundary. Until I did. It was subtle at first. I would catch myself wearing lipstick when I knew he was coming over, or laughing a little too loudly at his jokes. I told myself it was nothing, that it was harmless. But something about the way he looked at me, it made me feel seen, wanted, noticed in a way Kent no longer noticed me. That stare stripped away years. It reminded me I was still alive, still magnetic, still capable of being desired. Then came the Thursday Kent packed his bag and kissed me on the forehead. Not the lips, just the forehead. As if I was something sacred, but not something sensual. He told me he would call. I smiled and waved. By evening, the silence in the house was louder than ever. I poured a glass of wine, then another. I was wearing a silk robe. I was not sure if I put it on for comfort or for him. At exactly 9:17 p.m., there was a knock at the door. I froze. I stared at it, pretending I did not know who it was. But I did. I had always known. And for the first time in my life, I walked to that door and turned the knob. Lester's eyes met mine, and neither of us said a word. But everything changed the moment I stepped aside and let him in. The moment Lester stepped into the room, the air shifted. He walked in like he had been there before, like my silence had already said yes long ago. His eyes roamed the space briefly, then returned to me, soft, smoldering, patient. And the robe I thought I wore for comfort suddenly felt like something I had worn for him. For this. I stood there, rooted. My heart thundered beneath my chest, each beat a warning. Each breath was guilt trying to reason with temptation. I should have spoken. I should have stopped him. But I said nothing. And neither did he. He walked past me, brushing my arm slightly, that light touch enough to ignite every nerve in my body. It was not just attraction. It was years of tension, unsaid words, stares that lasted 1 second too long. All of it crashing into that quiet moment between two people who already knew they had gone too far without even touching. I sat on the edge of the couch. He stood across from me, hands in his pockets like he had all the time in the world. The silence between us was not awkward, it was electric. "You look different when Ken is not around," Lester finally said. His voice was deep, low, unhurried. He was watching me like I was a secret he had waited years to open. "And what do I look like now?" I asked, my voice quieter than I meant it to be. He took a step closer. "Lonely, but beautiful." Those words wrecked me. They were simple, but they filled a hole I never admitted existed. Ken had stopped saying I was beautiful about 10 years ago. He loved me, I believed that, but he no longer saw me. Not the woman inside me. Not the ache. Not the fire still buried beneath motherhood that never came, beneath routines and responsibilities. Lester saw all of it. He sat beside me, close enough that I could feel the warmth of his skin. He did not reach for me.
He did not need to.
His presence was already a touch, heavy, hot, undeniable. I looked at his hands, then into his eyes. "You have wanted this, have you not?" I whispered. He nodded slowly. "Since the day Kent brought me home to meet you." But I waited. I respected the line.
"And now?"
I asked. His voice dropped even lower. "Now you open the door." I did not respond, because we both knew I had already answered more than that knock. That night, there were no apologies, no justifications, only the quiet hum of betrayal as it unfolded, and the deafening silence of the vows I left behind. He held my face in his hands at one point and whispered something into my ear that shattered me. He said, "If you were mine, I would never forget to look at you." And just like that, every excuse I had ever made for Kent
collapsed.
I was no longer a wife in that moment. I was a woman who remembered what it felt like to be seen. And that, more than anything physical, was what undid me. When Lester left around midnight, I stood at the door, robe now closed, heart wide open and broken at once. The moment he drove away, reality crashed over me like a wave I could no longer swim through. I went to bed, curled up in Kent's side of the bed, and waited for the guilt to drown out the memory. But it never did. The next morning, the mirror was unforgiving. I stared at myself for a long time, expecting to see someone else, a stranger, maybe. Someone reckless. Someone cruel. But it was still me. Same tired eyes. Same soft lines etched from years of holding things in. The only difference was, now, I was someone who had crossed the line. The house was quiet, but the noise inside me was deafening. I kept telling myself it had been a mistake, a moment, a single lapse in judgment. But the truth was, it was not a moment. It was the result of years. Years of feeling invisible. Years of emotional drought. Years of being a wife, but no longer a woman. Lester did not call. He did not text. He did not need to. What needed to happen already had. And I knew, in the stillness of that Saturday morning, I would never be able to return to the version of myself that existed before the knock. Kent came home Sunday evening. He kissed me on the cheek, asked how the weekend went. I smiled, said it was quiet, that I missed him. He smiled back, said he missed me too. And just like that, the lie became part of the air we breathed. For the next few days, I walked through life as if nothing had changed. But everything had. My body was back in our home, our kitchen, our bed, but my soul was buried somewhere between shame and hunger. Then on Thursday evening, Kent found something. I was folding laundry in the bedroom when he stepped in holding a scarf. Not just any scarf, that scarf. The silk one I wore the night Lester came over. The one Kent had never seen before because it had never been meant for him. Where did this come from? He asked, holding it up, confused. I do not remember buying this for you. I panicked inside. My skin went cold. Oh, I said, keeping my voice light. I must have picked it up last month when I went shopping with Clarissa. He stared at it a moment longer than he should have, then nodded. It smells like cologne. That was when I knew. He suspected something. Maybe not enough to accuse me, but enough to wonder. He dropped the scarf on the dresser and walked away. I stood there frozen, my heart pounding like a drum behind my ribs. That night, we lay in bed inches apart, but miles away. And, for the first time in our marriage, I feared what silence might say louder than words ever could. I wish I could tell you this story ends with a confession, or with a clean slate, but real life does not always work like that. Lester never came back, and I never opened that door again. But the damage had already been done, not just to my marriage, but to myself. I had let someone touch my skin, because I had stopped believing anyone could touch my soul. I betrayed Kent, but I also betrayed every piece of me that once believed in sacred promises. And for what? A moment, a stare, a reminder that I could still be wanted, even if only by someone who never should have looked at me that way. If you're listening to this, I want you to know something. Temptation does not always knock loudly. Sometimes it whispers over years, and by the time it reaches your door, it feels familiar, safe, even deserved. But it is not, because the price of being seen by the wrong eyes is losing sight of who you are. Thank you for listening to my story. Please tell me in the comments. Have you ever felt invisible in your own relationship? Do you understand why I did what I did? Or would you have done something different? Like this video if it moved you. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And most importantly, subscribe to this channel, because your support is the reason I can keep bringing these raw, honest stories to life. Until next time, take care of your heart, and never open a door you are not ready to live with.